Hey everybody, this is Timothy Bennett here,
Sarah Banyan.
Jason Chandler.
and welcome back to B&B Banter Bros Goes to the Movies. Tonight, we are going to talk about the new Kevin Smith's Netflix show. It's only on Netflix, right?
Right.
Yeah. He-Man. The Return of He-Man.
Master, what was it?
Masters-
Master of the Universe Revelations.
Yeah, Master
Yeah.
of the Universe Revelations. It is a imagining, reinventive, but it's a continuation.
A new story, essentially.
But it is a continuation. It's not like they're rebooting it. It's taken from everything that's happened in the past and then it's continued.
Yep.
So, which is a cool concept. I'm glad they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, most
Definitely glad they did because I don't know shit about the original shit. So,
Yeah, I can't remember. I know I watched it, but as far as being a nerd in the details,
As
not.
far as I remember from the show, there's not a lot of lore.
right.
Like, I think a lot of that lore and everything was invented in the comics. And I didn't do a whole lot with comics, so
Yeah.
the lore is going to be a little lost on me too.
But it did. It came out this year, and
Came out this week.
yeah, that's true. It did come out this week, didn't it?
Yeah.
Because you basically waited up until it
Yeah.
came out and watched it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's start off right away with that. Did you guys like it?
I,
You go.
I did. I
You-
liked it.
Somebody owes a pop.
I got mine. I fucking loved it. I'm excited for the next 5.
No,
Ooh.
I was gonna say so quickly though, Aaron. You were probably out of me and Jason, out of the three of us, you were probably the only one here that had more interaction with the original
I
He-Man than
I watched the show religiously. I had toys upon toys of fucking He-Man.
fair enough to say that you're a fan.
I was a big fan when I was a kid. I wanted to be He-Man when I was a kid. That didn't work out. But yeah, I was a huge fan. Like I always tell people, like I would begrudgingly watch other cartoons, waiting to watch He-Man. Like
Okay.
I would like G.I. Joe. I think was on beforehand, and I gave a fuck about G.I. Joe.
Right.
I was like, let's get this over with. 'cause
Knowledge is
He-Man-
power.
Yeah. I was like, let's get this over with because He-Man's on the list.
I remember feeling that way about certain shows, especially as a kid.
Yeah.
I don't really feel
Yeah.
that way anymore. But
Back then, Saturday mornings, you had to wait in line, wait your turn
Yep.
for your
Yeah.
show.
you had to be
Yeah.
patient,
You
no
had-
matter how
that-
anxious you
That,
were.
that was how
had to be
you.
patient.
That's how you learned to tell time when you were a child.
Yeah.
It's true.
That's a good. Oh.
Yep. I think I mentioned this before about like Pokemon. I was like in like 5th grade or something like that. As soon as Pokemon was over, I knew I had to go to school.
Yeah.
So
It was DuckTales for me, I believe.
DuckTales was always after school for me, but yeah, like I used to watch Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z were in the morning when I was growing up. So I would watch those two, and then I'd get my ass to school.
yep. So yeah, you're needless to say you're a fan.
Yep.
Jason, what is your experience with He-Man prior to all this?
I know I've seen it back when I was a kid. Maybe, I don't know. It doesn't. I watched it when my son was like 4 or 6 or something like that. A roommate of mine had all the DVDs, so we would watch them, together, me and my son. And that's when I
Your parents had DVDs?
no,
Got him.
nailed it. So yeah, I didn't have many of the toys. I was more of a GI Joe guy, actually.
He-Man would have taken out the entire
Ninja
Joe
Turtles,
Absolutely.
GI Joe, Ninja Turtles, but
Ninja
not He-Man. And
unit. Man, fuck you.
it could have the 200 episodes might have, I don't know, because that shit was. Yeah, I just feel like the 200 episodes of the original could have been already done and over by the time I was old enough to give a fuck about cartoons, because it was
You're older than me.
it was stemmed in '83, so I was 1. I didn't watch cartoons till I was like, I don't know,
How old the
6.
show is?
Yeah, it's old.
Yeah.
Man. It's
Fuck.
old.
I didn't realize I was watching reruns.
So
That was
I
all
feel
new to
like
me.
it came back around your time, and
Yeah. Well, I
I
always
missed
watched it
I
on
missed the
US.
syndication or something.
I always watched it on USA, which makes sense because USA was always one to like pick up older
That's
shows.
exactly
and, like,
that's
rerun
the syndication channel.
them. Yeah.
The
So
God, I forgot about USA. That's because cable doesn't exist anymore, so
Not
Yeah.
to us.
kind of forget. Yeah, I kind of
By
forget all
choice,
about
yeah.
that shit.
So yeah, I'm a fan. I watched the DVDs, and me and my son had a good time watching it. And obviously, watching them in later dates, you're like, okay. It's a little,
Yeah, I went back. I went back a few years and started watching like the first couple episodes. I was like, oh,
yeah, there's some
This is
obvious
pretty
jokes
bad.
there. It's really cheesy and
Yeah,
as it
it's-
should be in the '83. And the show was conjured to sell the toys. The
yeah.
toys came first.
He-Man was a toy, and they made the show to kind of help sell it.
yes.
Which I don't hate that idea. It's like, oh, you have this toy that was
No,
very popular,
it
and then
worked.
now let's create this origin story to for the kids to
flesh it
play
out, yeah.
and I
It
was like,
fueled an imagination. Like,
Yeah.
is really what that did.
and it worked.
yeah, it worked.
I get giddy when I see He-Man referenced in random things, like that Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, Welcome to the Jungle or whatever. There's like the guy renames himself Orko, and he's like, "Oh, I name myself Orko." I'm like, isn't that shitty wizard from He-Man? I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to get Jason to watch that movie.
That's a great movie.
It's a
Watch
great movie. It's funny.
I need to finish it. I don't know if I should. Okay. Wow.
it. Well, you were talking. I was just watching.
Oh, I thought you were giving me like a look of
No,
hate.
I'm judging.
No, I was just looking at you because that's common
I
courtesy when
rem-
someone's talking.
Anyways, I it's on my list. I'll do it, especially since I'm in love with that Jean-Claude Van Damme Johnson.
No, Jean-Claude Van Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay.
No Van Damme.
Amazon Prime. Check it out. Hopefully it's not over. I'm afraid for it to end because I feel like
Oh, you haven't finished it?
no.
Oh.
I'm kind of taking my time with it because I love it so much, and I feel like I got canceled or some shit. And yeah, it's one of those. I'm just kind of fucking keeping it in moderation. I'm just having so much fun with it. So yes, I will remember to watch the show as the movie.
Good, because it was funny.
Yeah.
It was
Most definitely.
it was fun.
I just want to note that I get giddy when it's referenced in random formats for no reason.
You hate the live action movie Dolph
Dolph
Hate
Lundgren.
hate is the wrong word. I watch it knowing that
He
it
didn't
has-
like Courtney Cox in it.
she's
No, yeah,
I don't
it's
like Courtney Cox in general.
But she's a small 13-year-old girl.
I think she's
Jesus
I
Christ.
think she's
No,
a-
she's 20-something. She's
I
18.
don't know. I just
I personally think she's a
You're just
dog
saying
shit
she's
actress. But I don't hate the Dolph Lundgren version. It is not He-Man. They
It
appropriated
is not. They fucked
they
it.
appropriated pieces of He-Man and put it into a movie that did not get made well.
right.
Like the things like Dolph Lundgren was fresh off the boat when he did that movie.
Yeah.
They were supposed to dub him with somebody else because he could not speak English. They
Really?
lost the money to dub him, so all those lines are him delivering them without being able to speak a
I
lick
thought
of
he did
English.
fine.
Well, I mean, yeah, he did fine, but I mean that's to editing. I'm pretty sure, not to his.
You
credit.
know, yeah,
It's one of my.
it's a terrible film, but it's one of those terrible films that I kind of
Anytime it's on Netflix, I watch it right away. It's
Like I say, it
a
just
guilty pleasure. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
It pulls the pieces of He-Man,
It does.
like
And it brings him down to earth or whatever in some fucking weird dumbass story.
It just pulls elements of He-Man and moves them into a movie that really isn't He-Man because he never uses his sword as a weapon. He's always shooting a gun. He never transforms.
And where's this whole coming to Earth thing?
Yeah, well that whole thing about this is one bit of actual lore that I do remember from the cartoon. His mother is actually from Earth.
Oh,
I don't remember how she made it to Eternia, but she's from Earth.
maybe it was a whole Guardians of the Galaxy thing. She
Might
got
have been.
kidnapped.
Fuck if I know.
Right.
I believe that there was like a capsule that she.
But yeah,
came
it's
up-
not. It's
yeah.
weird. It's weird that movie was titled Masters of the Universe
Yeah,
because it's not a He-Man movie.
honestly, the
I agree.
the guy that played Skeletor is probably the best part
Yeah.
of the whole movie.
Yeah.
'cause he did
Yeah.
a great job.
And he admits, I don't remember his name, but he admits,
Frank Langella.
yeah, he admits like that was his favorite role of all time. Like the movie was crap, but he loved playing that role.
He did.
Oh,
He
yeah.
did it great. This is not what we're critiquing tonight. We're
Nope,
not critiquing
nope.
Masters of the Universe.
Nope.
At least not that
I
movie.
figured I'd get the shit out of the way in the
Um,
beginning. Revelations though,
yeah,
I was satisfied. I've been waiting for it for a year, listening to Kevin Smith
Yeah.
fucking ramble on about it.
It's true. The dude's
build
been
up.
keeping pretty busy with some shit, and you follow him pretty closely on like his
Yeah,
podcast. and stuff.
he's shooting Clerks 3 as we speak.
Yeah, I
They
heard that
just did the
he's.
first script reading.
Yes.
I also heard that he bought that convenience store.
No,
The Quick Stop.
Yeah, I
he
heard
bought
that
he bought some venue to do his podcast in, but it is something like that in Jersey.
He didn't buy that because I thought he just
No.
that was just revealed that he had bought that convenience store not only to with the to
He is
whatever.
shooting the movie Clerks 3 in the same convenience
Yeah.
store.
I thought he
The
had,
same guy still owns it, except they're letting them close it for like nights or something like that. Instead of like before when they shot Clerks 1, they had to shoot in between customers coming in and out and like locking the door and waiting for knocks. And then when you get the knock, they'd be like, all right, cut, and then let the people shop. And then
that'd be a terrible
exactly.
It's a good thing there's no time budget on that.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Just a pure.
But he did buy
Independent
some like
film.
50-seater club venue to host where his podcast is now being
Oh,
hosted.
maybe that's what I was.
I
hearing.
think that's where the cross
Okay.
is at. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just recently saw something on Instagram or something like that he just bought the thing, and I thought it was the store.
No.
I guess whatever. Maybe I should have read the article or dived into it.
Tim
but
just reading headlines.
It's probably one of them whiners.
well, it was one of those things where I was like scrolling through, and that's
Oh,
where
I've
it
done that
popped
too.
up. So I was like, it was a quick glance. I'm like, oh, that's good for him. Continue scrolling.
Good for him. Doesn't affect my life.
Basically.
Fair enough.
So
So yeah, I follow him a lot, weekly.
Yeah.
And back to fucking Masters of the Universe Revelations.
So, how do you feel about the title, the Revelations? Now, without
Tila's
diving too
having
much
some
into
revelations,
it,
yeah.
do you feel like it was very, very appropriate? Because I know that
Yeah.
one thing that Kevin Smith was trying to do, he talked about, is he wanted you to care about these characters. He wanted some change. He wanted these characters, unlike the original
To
stuff,
have some stakes.
well, yeah, he wanted some development.
Depth.
And something that you don't see in the originals is they were just characters that did this thing, and there was
Yep.
real no meat and potatoes. And now
Yep.
he wants to give you meat, potatoes, and the veggies.
Yep.
So
He accomplishes that quite
Yep.
well, I think,
and
with every character he involves. Like,
yeah, and so
Yeah.
like that's where like I think that new title change, like it was pretty appropriate.
Oh,
I think it was pretty
absolutely.
appropriate.
Yep.
yep.
I think
agree
it's
with
spot on. You?
Yeah.
I did, but I think that I thought it was perfect. I thought it was very appropriate. But to dive a little bit further later, I got more to say about that because it had to do with the characters. So
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, it starts off with
because what was the show called? It was just
He-Man and the Masters of the
yeah,
Universe.
yeah, and then you had So
She-Ra was an spin-off of that.
mhm.
yeah, so I mean, I just think that the Masters of the Universe Revelations was freaking appropriate.
Yeah. Most
Yeah,
definitely.
you don't really get they don't say a number of years between the incident. I'm not sure if we want to spoil it now or later, but it starts off pretty fucking powerful.
Yeah, when because I mean, like I said, I'm the most ignorant one of them all between us three.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember anything
Because
about
in this
the
world,
show, and I played with the toys, but I don't know anything about it.
in this world, it could easily be 30 years, and they would just be similar
Progress,
ages, right?
I guess you never really get. I mean,
They don't
I
say
would
a
assume-
number,
I
but
would
they
assume
make
that-
it feel like it's been quite some fucking time.
I would at least guess close to 10 years between the initial incident and where you start up again. I would guess probably close to 10 years.
Yeah,
Because
at
just
least, at least.
the amount of things that have happened and like the state of things, like you need at least that amount of time to progress.
Mhm.
Just the various like destruction, the groups that have formed, how large they are, things like that.
So how do you feel about that then? Like without having an actual understanding, the way that they started this new, I guess, adaptation of it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? How do you feel like it went? Do you find it to be acceptable, appropriate? Did
I
you
thought
find
it was
yourself
the-
too
I'm
kind of
not
like
gonna-
It
what's
was
going
the best
on?
choice.
I'm not gonna lie, like, so Well, let's just give it away. So ultimately, Skeletor finds his way into the bottom of Castle Grayskull and like unearths like I can't even remember the name of the fucking thing now. It's like basically the link of all the magic between the two outer realms of Eternia, Subternia and Preternia, I think they call it.
That's yeah.
Eternia is heaven.
Yeah.
Subternia
Heaven
is
and hell.
Yeah, that's
Heaven
yeah.
and hell, basically.
And then you have Earth. Eternia.
So basically he unlocks the basically how Eternia has magic, which is basically this object that's pulling magic from both of the outer realms in. In order to get it, he unlocks it, which is going to destroy everything. He-Man sacrifices himself to stop it. And in doing so, breaks the power sword apart.
Mm-hmm.
So he dies. But in the context, he loses being He-Man and becomes Prince Adam again.
Fine.
And
Fine.
so Teela finds out that Prince Adam, who is her best friend, has been He-Man this whole time.
Yeah.
And never told her.
To me,
That's
it's
a
no
little-
different than Clark Kent. There's such a similarity. The hair.
Okay,
First
first of all, if you really want to go back to the old cartoons and look at the way they drew Prince Adam
Yeah.
versus He-Man.
completely different.
No,
The exact same.
it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You still
Except they
built-
changed the clothes.
Oh, it's like Clark Kent and Superman.
Yeah,
How do
exactly.
You just put glasses on.
Back in the day,
Come
the
on.
shirt was more pink.
It was a pink like overcoat with a white shirt,
Yeah.
Damn.
and it would just disappear, and he'd have the harness.
Damn.
Yeah.
This was much better than.
But so she figures out that all this happened, that he's Prince Adam and He-Man are the same thing. Then she finds out that everyone knew but her. Like somehow
And the
her
parents.
Well,
The mother-
just
the
knew-
mother-
the
the
father
mother
didn't.
Yeah.
The father didn't, the mother did. Man-at-Arms, or Duncan,
Yep.
I believe his name is, who is her
Her
father,
Yes.
knew, as did Orko and Cringer and everybody
I
that
was
she's
just saying,
considered friends.
who are those main characters? Because you have what?
There's
So
Orko is the magician.
Yep.
He's like the
the
floating little
Trollin.
red guy. Trollin, yep. Cringer is the green tiger who becomes Battle Cat.
Yep.
There's
which is such a scary cat.
Yeah.
well, that's why it's called Cringer. There's Teela, who is
Basically, Xena, warrior princess.
so she's basically
Lady He-Man.
Yeah,
Well, I
kinda.
guess.
She's just a badass. She's a
So the
warrior.
way it sounds in this, which is not something they did at the
Oh, yeah,
back
yeah.
in that, is she's working to the title of Man at Arms, which means
Yep.
that she's allowed to. She has certain like responsibilities and privileges that.
She gets knighted, basically.
Yeah, it's essentially a knighthood. So and it's a Man at Arms is a title.
Mm-hmm.
And so her father Duncan, who in the original show was just called Man at Arms, like
Yeah.
that was just his character name.
He still gets called that by Evelyn. She
Yeah.
calls him the man at arms. He almost never says his name until later when they get a little more personal. But
Right.
he's just considered a man at arms.
Yeah, I
So-
like her respect for him, too.
Yeah. Yeah, her discussion was like, I always thought he was the most
That's the
dangerous
one
one.
to Yeah,
Yeah.
she's the one I warmed.
Actually, I have to agree. After watching this, he is a badass.
Oh, for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
He's more intimidating than anybody else in this show.
Yeah.
Most deaf.
He's the one you take. Yeah.
I will say in the original cartoon he didn't have quite so many guns, but
Yeah, he came out looking like fucking
he
souped up
always
Batman
had that
with the gadgets.
So there's a part actually which is really funny, which is a weird callback to what he used to wield. When he's fighting those like robot people and one of them has like a mace and he rips the arm off and starts fighting people off. That's the exact replica of the mace he had in the original cartoon.
Nice.
This is the kind of shit I remember and which probably kept me out of really good schools. But yeah, so you have those people, that inner circle, Cringer, Orko, Duncan, the mother. The father did not. The father, when he's informed that He-Man has fallen,
He snaps.
once he's mourning the fact that He-Man has fallen, but he's also like
He's the champion.
He'll be remembered, and then his wife, who is weeping in his arms, and
Right.
he's oblivious.
Yeah.
She's
It was
like,
our
"We
son."
lost our son," and like that's when he's like, "Oh,
Right.
and then he's just like he banishes
Duncan.
Man at Arms because that was who he was supposed to keep safe. Like, so
Prince
anyway,
Adam.
and so the cusp of this is basically Teela, who is now officially a Man at Arms before this whole thing happened. he is ordered to take Duncan out, like, and send him away. And she's like, no, I refuse. Like, I reject all of this, all these secrets, all magic.
Basically called everybody a liar, and she doesn't trust anybody, and she's done.
In a fit of mourning, I guess, she got mad at everybody and just walked out.
Yep.
And then we cut to however many years later.
Yep.
And that's why we brought it this whole.
Yeah.
So the whole so basically, like I was saying, go back to the question: was this an appropriate ending? We didn't know how much time between the cartoon to whatever, how it ended then, and all this to now. But do you think this was appropriate? Like a really good, decent,
because
opening
when He-Man
episode.
stabs Skeletor or whatever, and what
Skeletor?
Skeletor, and then I like how it entered that keyhole. He's like, you finally use the sword the way it's supposed to. And at first, it was a nice little twist. Like, he finally stabs somebody with it. Because in the original, he ain't ever stabbing anybody.
Well, yeah.
You know? And then...
remember, this is a kid's show.
I know.
Now it's a kid adult show.
Right.
Yeah.
It is.
Meaning it's pertained to adults.
It is definitely aimed for nostalgia, 30-year-olds and our people our age. And shit,
Just
for
like
sure.
our podcast.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
So it enters that keyhole through Skeletor's fucking body, and then he has that cool line, and then
when He-Man is trying to like stop the world from ending, and like he loses being He-Man and just turns back into Prince Adam. You hear Skeletor, he's just a boy.
Yeah, that reveal was nice as fuck too. God damn it, I forgot why I went on. Anyway,
We forget to say that when He-Man dies, Skeletor dies as well.
Yep, they got sucked into the...
So the magic in the world dissipates, it disappears, or becomes scarce.
Yeah.
And so that happens, the death of He-Man happens, Tila's revelation happens. So yes, to your question, it was an appropriate ending, and all that stuff happens, and then you get the 10-year difference. We're just going to guess this number. And then you come back with the rest of the show or whatever, the continuation of the series, and it's like they're relying on technology.
Mm-hmm.
Magic is a thing of the past. And the world has changed, and it's very apparent, and I liked it.
I feel like that concept, like the passing of magic and the embracing of technology has been done before.
Absolutely.
But it was done very well. I thought
Yes.
the way this was done, I thought was nice. And you know, the fact that there's the last vestiges of them clinging to it, but there's plenty of people going, you don't need it. Like, what up? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like, it's garbage.
I kind of felt like it was almost oddly for me. I interpreted it as a very modernized view of we're growing further into technology and we're losing more of our creativity. You know, because as of magic, we look at our magic as humans as the imaginative space that we can bring. We can create anything we want out of our own brain, and we can bring it to life. We can do whatever, and that's that kind of pure magic. But with all the technology coming up, we're losing connection with pure imagination.
Yep.
And that, to me personally, I that was the way I interpreted that whole thing. Was
that boosts my rating. You explaining that, I didn't put that together, but that's probably why I connected with it well and thought it was well done.
Yep.
Everything seems to become so much more rigid when technology is involved,
right?
Because, well, I mean, it's technology, it's all robotics, that it works more on facts and like endpoints, whereas magic is just flowing and like all over the place.
Magic is more unpredictable.
Yeah,
but robotics is, I don't know, manualed. it's controlled.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Which the bad guys that you see in Snake Mountain, what they took over
the cult of Motherboard.
Yeah, what was their name though? I thought they had a name.
Oh, I don't remember.
I don't remember the name.
I know like the main guy's name is Triclops.
Yeah.
And then there's Whiplash and Lockjaw, are the two.
Because they were all Skeletor's minions.
Yeah, they were all henchmen. Yeah, they were henchmen.
And then they evolved because Skeletor vanished.
I like
so they
their
were like
Triclops' little speech about his
like
Lord
his
of
ego or whatever,
yes,
like
exactly.
getting in the way. And that was always Skeletor's biggest downfall is his ego always got in the way.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
classic '80s villain trope, like the ego gets in the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, but yeah. So the idea that like I liked that that weird thing where like all the villains that you knew from the cartoons, like knowing that Skeletor's dead, seeing where they went or how they moved on,
Yes.
was interesting. Between Beastman and Evelyn, Triclops and the cult, or like Merman, or
Right.
you know,
The way they evolved or the way that they changed. Yeah. I like especially. So that's what I kind of wanted to bring up about the character, and from the beginning of the episode to the second episode, I thought it was great. That first episode was just a big.
Hell yeah.
Here it is, and then they leave you with, here you are, and that was a great introduction, because now, like you're saying, time has passed. Now we're in a whole other world.
yeah,
Essentially, Kevin Smith ended the last, the original He-Man series, because it didn't have a good conclusion to it. It just kind of stopped.
Yeah,
So he gave that a good conclusion, and then
did his own thing,
and then it gave, entered
like
this
a
world. So
respectful.
exactly, he
like,
paid homage.
let's bury that behind us now.
Yeah. So I thought it was.
That's how I felt about it too, which is the whole reason why I was bringing up the first episode. Do you think it was good or not? Because you said it very well. Like, they were ending that season now without knowing anything about that, not knowing how long. It could have been a week from the original.
Right.
We really don't know. We don't get that answer. But the way that they started off for the second, the way they ended it to lead up to now, that was just brilliant.
Yeah.
To make it his own.
It was the only choice.
Another path. Yeah.
And you can say it was been done before or whatever, but it was done well.
Absolutely.
It
The
was the
Endgame
right
did it.
choice.
Yeah.
And it worked for them. I loved how they in the Avengers Endgame, how the blip happened.
Yep.
It happened.
Yep.
They didn't stop it. They didn't prevent it. It wasn't the typical, oh, the hero saved the day. They failed.
Yeah.
They failed the world. They failed the universe.
Yeah.
yeah,
And then you see the repercussions of what happened. I love that. The depressing dark tones, because that to me is more realistic than that whole happy. I don't like happy endings.
right.
And that's my first thought. They're doing like the same thing for the end games, the way they did. I'm not comparing or saying that he ripped them off or anything nothing like that. I just like that they did that.
Yeah.
I like that direction. And like you're saying, those villains, they had to get a new job.
Yeah.
That's essentially what I thought. They
It
had to
was
get a new
very
job.
interesting in the idea that you had to see. It wasn't even about the hero. I mean, Tila was really the main focus of the 5 episodes, but you really got to see how the villains had to move on when the
they all
leader's
explain
gone.
it.
Yeah.
You
They
know?
all give you a short synapse of why they are where they're at right now.
Yeah. The only one you didn't really get a really good read on was Beastman.
Beastman was just following.
But he kept
Evil
calling him
Lyn.
like my lady and stuff like that. But like there was no real like
Where he
explanation
went.
of the connection or anything like that.
That's not a thing of the past.
No.
You don't remember that from the old
No,
shows?
they weren't. Like he wasn't. He was just a henchman for Skeletor. He wasn't beholden to Evil Lyn for any reason.
Okay.
But I think because without knowing anything, I thought that too was like, well, he just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and
he
he's
did.
just all loyalty to
Exactly.
Evil Lyn.
Lyn. But I think maybe the reason why is not to use this, but Douglas's owner.
It's very
Yeah.
And
possible.
now
Yeah.
he's got to find a
Like,
new
passion-
owner.
She was
Pat
second in
mentality,
command.
yeah.
This is the closest thing that he
She
has
was number
to a
2.
superior,
Yeah, for sure.
to an alpha.
That might
kinda
work. I
thing.
mean, that might explain it because
I
pack
like
mentality
that.
works.
And she is an alpha. Ain't no doubt about
She's
that.
number
Yeah.
2 to Skeletor.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's
She was
a
always
fucking bad-
Skeletor's
whoa.
right hand.
And I probably, the way I felt was, she's probably more powerful than Skeletor if it wasn't so much Skeletor as a demon, and she's human. You know what I mean? Like, he's magical because he's a
Yeah.
freaking demon. She's human who has magic abilities,
Right.
but she's a fucking badass.
She
Yeah.
is badass.
What?
I want to make fun of Skeletor's magic for a second. Remember in the first episode, the fight? He like creates his portal, punches through it, and then it becomes just like a big fist. It's just like that
and
shit was
He-Man
like the
breaks his
lame.
hand.
Yeah, it was just like and it reminded me of the lame shit you would see in the back.
But
in
yeah,
the day.
exactly. That's what that was. I'm pretty sure that was just like
It was
the
a
kind of
little nod or
it was
a little.
the kind of shit
Yeah.
you'd see in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like
And
that's
and this show
people
carried
take
on
it.
its cheesiness. It carried on
It did.
the weird puns. That
Yeah. So how do you feel about some of the dialogue? Now it's Kevin Smith,
loved it.
right? Now Kevin Smith is known for having
Wordy, extra.
Yeah, he can, but he also has. I don't know how to say this. He has a really excellent way of dumbing things down
yeah.
and making it very just like
he makes everything
Fast-
approachable or readable.
which
Or
I want
not-
to call
not
it
readable.
stoner talk
Right, which is weird
because it's most of
For
his
the
stuff
long
that
time
he
he
does.
was
a
Yeah,
stoner.
yeah, exactly. He didn't
But-
start smoking until Zach and Mary. But
you know what I mean? Like it's that just dumbed down
yeah,
shit, and I think it's just because of his whole Jay and Silent Bob. He's really good at doing that.
yeah,
But yeah, he's an intelligent writer as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
I did not get a sense of
There was barely any Kevin Smith jokes in this. Fucking,
yeah.
Right.
Probably the only
It's-
one probably is that stupid Glovula thing, or in the beginning of the second episode. It's like, thanks for stealing back the glove for Glovula, and then
Yeah.
Aunt Andrea or whatever, she goes,
Andra.
no glove, no love.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
that's as close as you get to a
Yeah.
Kevin Smith
And
joke.
I think that just speaks to Kevin Smith really taking this
Serious,
seriously
yes.
and
Yeah.
like wanting to do it justice.
Exactly.
That's exactly. There's the dialogue was not his typical stuff, and
Yeah.
it almost
Right.
sense.
It was a
Well, was he writing or was he just the
he was the showrunner. He
He was-
wrote
and
the
I'm not
first
sure-
episode,
Okay.
and then there's four other people that wrote the next 4 episodes, but he would work together with
Yeah.
them.
He basically had.
He was
all
his
control.
first writer's room, actually.
Yeah, he had like
Interesting.
all control of the
Yep,
show. Like
yep.
he was dealing with the artwork. He was dealing like he would. Yeah, it's crazy on how much responsibility he had, and
Yeah.
yet he. It seemed like he did it with such ease because he's
Yeah.
fucking super fan.
Yeah.
Must
Right.
be a super fan to want to do
He
this.
really
so-
was. Yeah, and people are trying to argue that, but yeah, it proves that he really was,
Yeah, for sure.
because he paid more homage to the dialogue. There was just enough
Right.
Yep.
to continue the story on and
I
Now-
would-
get. Yeah, I'm ready.
Now, the thing I thought you kept saying, well, I guess we keep saying that there's so many just nods to the 80s.
Yeah,
And the dialogue was something that I kept thinking is this sounds so cheesy.
mm-hmm.
So appropriately cheesy. It sounds like something from the 80s. It sounds like something you would get when we were kids. And he kept on to that. And how do you feel about it? Did you
There
feel the
were-
same way?
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like there were moments where there were definitely like, this is cheesy shit. Like,
But-
I was on board for it.
Yeah.
But there were plenty of moments where he actually was able to write some depth to these characters and like was able to put in some amount of like humanity to these characters that you didn't really get from the 80s because it was the 80s and they're selling toys.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
they weren't, you were gearing
They
this
weren't
towards,
supposed to be believable.
they were gearing it towards 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, and every episode back in the day was
it was a self-contained episode.
exactly.
Like, and it was, the trope back then was to have a fucking lesson at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So G.I. Joe did it, He-Man did it, Captain Planet did it, everybody fucking did it.
But here
Yep.
you got a build up. Every episode
Here,
is
this was like,
it's one long.
It was a journey. It was the
Yeah.
whole one step progresses into another direction.
there
that
was a
led
journey
into
of
somewhere-
self-discovery, a journey of like redemption between Duncan and Tila, all this stuff, like coming to terms with the death of her friend.
unthought of friends.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite scenes that I talked to Jason about at work was Evelyn and Orko. That
Yep.
connection. You saw this different side of this woman who you just assume is pure evil,
You saw the different side of both of them because Orko in the original cartoon was just comedic relief.
right?
Yeah,
he was never a
He
serious
was
character.
a constant failure.
Yeah, and he consistently, even in the beginning, you see him.
Yeah,
Sorry.
with the
Yeah.
bubble.
Yeah, the bubble, yeah.
And he's just, and then he admits, like, oh, I never do anything right. And then he gets really hard on himself.
Yep.
And basically calls himself a complete failure to himself and his entire
Race.
race. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, because he's now the last one and all
Yep.
this, and phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
He made a character that was a court jester at best to a
To
very
actually mean
deep
something.
character within 20 minutes.
Yeah.
not even.
Yeah, he added
Not
so
even,
much
yeah.
depth.
Because
Like,
even that whole Tila, please let me come.
Yeah.
You know, because she was like, you ain't coming, you're just gonna get in the way or whatever she said.
you-
but
you need to
his
get
like
better or whatever.
his plea, it was believable, and it was
Yeah.
like, you better say yes, Tila. Like I found myself like, come on.
I'm not gonna
And
lie.
that episode was written by Mark Bernardin, which I'm a huge fan of his writing.
I will admit, Orko's death was.
It's not. I don't
It
believe
was.
I don't believe he's dead.
It
He
was-
wasn't in the
okay,
goddamn heaven when they went there.
But maybe.
But that's for
he has-
Eternians. He's a trolling.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe he has
Those are all
other
champions, huh?
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I was like,
I guarantee he
like
comes
my
back.
mouth gaped open and like my jaw quivered because it was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, his sacrifice. Obviously, it was quite predictable.
Oh, it was super predictable.
But
But yet meaningful if you know
Super
about
meaningful.
that because he's a failure, he's a court jester, but he has the best intentions.
Yeah.
And he's trying his hardest to make that turn and switch. And then in that moment, you finally saw it happen. Like, oh shit, dude, you're actually fucking. You're doing everything you've always wanted to do
it
right
was
here,
when
right
he-
now.
It was when he revealed himself to Evelyn when he's
Yeah.
like, "My name isn't even Orko." It's just
Yeah.
kind of stuck. It's like
As a
yeah,
joke.
my
my real
parents
name was
named me so
And he
such an
lived into it by
oracle,
being
and,
unsuccessful.
that's where
at
she was like,
magic.
"Yeah, well, you're supposed to be the most powerful, whatever."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Damn!" Like
It.
so he's supposed to basically be Neo from the Matrix,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
and he
like,
fell flat.
yeah, he's like, but she, for whatever it was, she was able to get it out of him
Mhm.
and make him realize that he is that. The character switching in the show was just, to me, I think that was my favorite thing about this show was
Orko. I'm just
that
gonna
kind
go
of
back.
stuff.
I'm gonna go back to Orko for just a second. Orko was the trope of like the clumsiest and the biggest failure is the one that embodies the good of everybody.
He did. He really did. Because even though he was a joke, like he was always, that's this thing. Like he's always happy or what, I don't know, happy, but
He always meant the best.
yeah, his intentions, even though, they failed, just
Yeah.
he never, yeah, I don't know. I see, I get what you're saying, and I definitely agree. Like, and it just showed, especially in the end when he's like, I'm not afraid.
Yep.
Like, the balls that he had to be able to, it was self discovery.
Yeah.
He found himself going, well, if I'm going to go out, that's it. Like, this is the end. I can't be afraid of it now.
Right.
It's gonna happen, and he just he sacrificed himself, and that was a beautiful. I agree.
feel
That
like
was beautiful.
and he conjured that power because that was like their only opportunity to get through that portal, that hole to
He did it
continue
to
on their
save his
mission.
friends. Like he
Exactly, on the whole mission and the journey they were on. He knew the importance of it.
The
But
situation
when he
too.
created that third ring, I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
It was basically that pressure, and then him having that whole self clarity,
Mhm.
and then Evelyn losing her power because she just did all that to open the gates.
Yeah.
Even Evelyn trying to
trying to help him. and
help
not
out, but
being able to.
couldn't, and her
Yeah.
disappointment.
Yeah,
That
was-
right there
I like
too was
that.
like, she's like, I can't, like, but he's not gonna make it,
I
and
couldn't or
Because-
whatever.
the disappointment
'cause
that
you only had a
you
little
felt,
magic left,
yeah.
or that shit was running out by then.
That was just an amazing for a cartoon.
Right,
That's what we're talking about right here.
and that's
Is the cartoon. This is what Kevin Smith wanted,
yeah.
and fuck.
Told a great story.
Now, I did talk to Jason. Like, one of the only pet peeves I did have about this
Mhm.
show was I wish they could have lingered a little bit more on a lot of these things that kind of like the whole like thing I was just talking about with Evelyn and Orko, and then you had some with Tila and
Adam
uh,
or Duncan.
no with Duncan. Yeah, like they were just so quick. Now, it wasn't like bad. It worked.
It's not that it was bad, but you wanted more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you-
it definitely
you
could have been
wanted more,
35-minute episodes instead of 25
right?
or
Like
22.
even an extra like 3 to 4 minutes of something
Yeah.
could have added a little bit more because you basically had to just brief through it, and then you had to do the work to go figure it out. I have nothing against how
And
it was
it
done.
felt a little
It just-
rushed. I agree.
Yeah, it
but
just wanted more.
it was still fun because what Duncan or what that episode when he starts like apologizing, and Evelyn would be like, "Stop this shit. We don't have time for this."
yeah,
You know,
we don't have more
So
time for
it was
drama,
like-
petty drama, or
So
family
they did
drama.
it cool in rushing it because I was
Well,
like,
but
yeah.
they also did that.
But
weird-
that's the shit that you probably wanted, right? Is that linger?
It was just like
What
You're-
Evelyn
you're-
was stopping?
I felt like it's one of those things. Like I'm going to use the term meat and potatoes. Like here's your meat and potatoes, but you literally have 1 minute to scarf down as much as you can before we're moving
Hey,
on.
that's the way you
Didn't
eat,
you
man.
at least feel it a little bit capped off, at least between Tila and Duncan to some degree, when like he shows up on the boat and she's like, "I told you to go to Grayskull." He's
Yeah.
like,
And I told you I loved
loved
you. I did. It was very satisfying.
That at least gave me. It was like,
Because,
okay,
yeah, all right. Yeah. I mean, like I said, there was nothing wrong with it.
Right.
It was
Right.
just I definitely had this like that's all I'm getting.
And
Like I want a little,
For
just
sure.
a little bit more.
yeah, I've watched it twice because it went by too fast.
Yeah.
The 5 episodes and the story's great and the character connection, all that shit, but it went by too fast.
And
For me to wait however long for another 5 fucking episodes,
Yeah.
fucking.
another year.
Hopefully these whiners bring it out a little sooner.
I was gonna say I guess the
That's the only
internet's kind of
benefit.
blown up about it, saying that Kevin
No.
Smith's not doing justice. He called himself a fan, and he missed the mark or whatever. They're whining, but there wasn't a little big article headline or whatever that was saying it's like, we may or He-Man fans may get sooner episodes, and I'm like, well, I would like that because
Yeah.
I don't want to wait until
At this
January.
point, Netflix really isn't giving us anything else we want.
Kevin
so-
Smith fucking said that he's like, hey, they made their decision. If it was up to me, I would release all 10. But what they want to do is spread it out because season 2 isn't coming out till 2023, and they want you still thinking about He-Man
but
closer to that.
people were going to
So yeah,
forget about it, and then it's going to come back up, and they may move on.
because especially how
Yeah.
fast paced it
That's-
happens.
As of right now,
I
that's how
don't
I
agree
feel.
with their business marketing approach.
No, because people were going to move on. Like people don't. We talked about this. People now use Netflix and all this streaming. It's a binging program.
Yes.
Yep.
It's the attention span. We want everything now, and that's it. If we don't get it anything further, people don't want to wait.
And that's kind of what I was thinking, because I agree with you on the rushed story. But when we were talking about it at work, I was like, fuck, did they do it on purpose because of this short attention span? Did they write it that way
I
and kind of
think-
just hit these checkpoints, trim the fat?
I think it's because that's what you get. This is a reinventive way of doing this 80s thing that we got.
Yeah. The
We
80s
didn't
cartoons weren't that long.
Yeah, they weren't in depth. They weren't that fleshed out.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
didn't get any emotions for these characters. You didn't care about these characters really. You just saw something that was entertaining, and then you moved on.
Uh-huh.
Right? So there was no attachment. Kevin Smith's whole goal was to get you to feel these characters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You cared about these characters. Boy, do you.
Yeah.
He nailed that.
Mission accomplished.
Yes. And I think that's just it, is he's still kind of keeping that 80s cartoon style.
Okay, I like your answer better
Yeah.
than the one I'm.
For sure.
I don't think
Yeah.
it was because of today's attention span. I just think it has to do with
Good.
keeping, because an average cartoon episode was probably about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And you had commercials too. So
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
cut that down. It was probably only 10 minutes.
Right.
So
All right, good. I like that answer.
That's
And
what I
it
felt.
is more, yeah, it seems like.
now
something
some
we
other
do.
shows may do it because of today's attention span for sure. We talked
Well,
about
like
that with the
Tomorrow
Tomorrow
War. Yeah, exactly.
It's all about the attention span of people today, which ruins a lot of stuff. But hey, pretty soon an entire 3-hour. We're getting longer films, and yet people are wanting to tell it a lot quicker. How does that work?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically like our cell phones, the evolution of cell phones, right? We started off with this big old box that was attached to a briefcase. And that was a cell phone that you had to use. Then they get smaller and smaller until it was Zoolander size, and you can swallow that like a pill. And next thing you know, we get bigger, bigger, and bigger, especially after you realize you can start watching porn on this. And it became a fucking tablet. So they're turning into small TV computers, whatever.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
And that's kind of, I feel like, how it's going. Now they're getting longer and longer, but they're trying to sum up the story within the first 30 minutes. Like, how do you have a 3-hour film in
Right.
30 minutes? That's what they're apparently trying to do.
Mm.
I think that's why a lot of these films that we love, that are coming out and are longer, we love them because that's what we grew up with.
Yeah.
But
Right.
they're flopping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To today's audience, they just don't care. They're not doing as well.
Somewhere along the way, the story stopped mattering.
Yes.
And it was
And-
all about like the action sequences or like
Especially to these
The-
people whining
yeah.
about Kevin Smith, He-Man. Right?
I wouldn't even talk about Kevin Smith, but I think in general, like the story stopped mattering a long time ago.
At least people like Kevin Smith are like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
The
I'm
true
doing
fans-
this. Yeah, I'm doing this mainly for myself and anybody else who is like me. At least I respect that.
Yeah.
What are you saying? I'm confused.
Like Kevin Smith is one of those out there who is trying to tell the story the way
Yeah.
the story should be told, and he doesn't give a fuck about this flashy action, and he's not doing that.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
telling a story because the story deserves to be told.
Yeah.
He's one of the few people
I know,
out
and that's
there
why I
who
follow
doesn't
him.
pan to today's style of filmmaking.
Nah, yeah.
That's
I-
why,
I appreciate his integrity.
yes, he wants to do it right. It's the appreciation that I think I will always have for Kevin Smith, especially the day that I heard like they were trying. Like, I ain't gonna have somebody tell me how to make my movie.
Right.
I made it. They didn't make it. That's me. I made it. So I'm gonna tell it my way. I
Hell
like
yeah.
that. That's my thinking. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, what? I think we only lost 2 characters that I'm aware. of.
Moss Man.
Oh yeah,
Who I wasn't even familiar with. to be
Yeah,
completely
I
honest,
didn't know
but-
anything. Well, basically Skeletor and He-Man.
Mhm.
So we read about the whiners, as we're calling them,
Yeah.
complaining about there wasn't enough He-Man in the first 5 episodes.
Yeah, that
What
was
was-
done by design.
Right? What was your take on
It's
that?
called the fucking build-up to the last 5, the back 5. It's a fucking roller coaster that clicks up and then drops down and gives you all the good stuff. Jesus Christ. Do these whiners not know how this works?
Here's the question I have though. Who
And they
do you
just
think
wanna-
these whiners? Who do you think? Does you think these whiners that we're kind of referring to are a generational thing? Do you think
I
they're
don't
like
know.
us?
I'm mad at clickbait basically
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
the views they're getting. I have yet to like fully research and get into it because I don't want to know about. I don't know. So I might be speaking out of turn or too
Well,
soon.
The only reason why I'm bringing it up is because I heard about it, and you were able to confirm too that you
It's
heard
popping
about
up on
it.
my fucking timeline, and I've never seen any of these people. I don't follow
Right.
any of these.
That Kevin Smith he missed his mark about connecting to the fan and doing
People
justice.
are calling it woke He-Man, a Tila
Yeah.
master. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
sorry,
Which is
I'm-
why I'm bringing up the fact. Do you think that these
Fucking
whiners
Christ on a cracker.
do you think it's a generation thing? Do you think it's like these people of today who just don't get it and then they want to call themselves fans, or do you think it's actual fans of like Aram here who
That's
grew
what
up
they claim to
watching
be.
it
That's all I'm gonna say.
and he understands, he accepts it. So
Yeah, it's because I'm a goddamn adult, for one thing. I understand that He-Man as a cartoon, as a child, didn't have a lot of depth.
Right.
And Kevin Smith said he's trying to give you depth in this. Let him fucking develop a story. For the love of Christ, can we just stop for a moment and let someone entertain us without complaining about something?
Yeah, if you're gonna be mad at anybody, be mad at Netflix for splitting the fucking 10-episode series in half.
yeah, especially
If
because it's only 21 minutes
Yeah.
an episode.
If you don't like what he did, shut the fuck up and don't watch it.
yeah.
No, I swear to God, these whiners are just picking on him because they know he cries really easy, and they just want to make him cry. And
This-
it pisses me off
this
because
is-
all their clickbait pictures are him tearing up out of context.
I've never seen any pictures. I
This
actually
is-
read this on Yahoo.
Yeah, it's YouTube bullshit.
This is all the internet's fault because the
Yeah.
internet
Yes.
let so many people that don't deserve it have a voice.
We mentioned this several times. Yep.
And I swear to God,
And they are using it to get views and whatever. It's all bullshit. And
if you can
they're wrong.
I say email us. If you can legitimately say for any specific reason why he didn't actually do this justice and we can't fucking argue the point back, I'll actually say so on air.
Yeah.
But like you
You
have
heard
to
it.
actually own up and say this is why. Otherwise,
a
shut the
valid,
fuck
that's
up
what I
and
was
watch the
saying.
cartoon.
yeah, a valid justification of why you think, not just
And that's why I was saying I might be talking too soon with all this hatred and whatever, because I haven't watched their fucking rants and shit.
Well, that I agree with
So
you.
I don't
It's that
know their
clickbait
arguments
shit,
yet. And I'd rather get an email from them instead of watch their stupid
Right.
shit and give them a fucking view.
right? No, I agree with you though. It's that clickbait shit. And I don't click on that shit either because of that exact thing. I don't want to. But a part of me, when you see something like that, and especially like I said, you validated it. It was probably a thing. It just bugs me so much that people don't want to take the time. They just want to complain about something.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
wanna have a voice,
He-Man
like you're
made
saying. I
the
agree.
ultimate sacrifice. He
Right.
killed himself to save a fucking universe.
Right. Now,
Right.
to stray away in that moment of this show, what do you think was like your favorite, or would you think was one of the most important parts of this show?
Well, there's a
I
probably
say favorite because
one of my
There's
I guess
a
one of my
handful of-
favorites would be when they're talking about when they're in Eternia in the last episode, and they talk about Adam being in his plain Adam
Yeah.
form, even though all the other ones are in their
Flea-Man.
everyone else is in their champion form.
yep,
But like, and then King Grayskull is like, we all choose our forms. You know, everybody chose to be in their champion form except for him. He chose or we all choose the best
Oh,
versions
yeah.
of ourselves. He chose that form.
Yeah.
And it shows that he didn't view himself as better as He-Man. He just viewed himself as a person.
yep.
And I just thought that was a really nice moment.
Very in
Yeah, I
depth,
wasn't sure if it
sincere.
Yeah, because it was said to Tila, but it's about him. So I mean,
Yeah.
it involved both characters that were very important to the storyline. And I don't know. It was one of my favorite parts.
I have to agree. That was an amazing. It was just a quick little conversation, but it was
Yeah.
really, to me, it
Poignant,
almost
yeah.
took me by surprise.
Yeah.
Like that whole conversation was like, wow, yeah, that was good. That was deep.
Or like if somebody asked one of the Grayskull, the first champion, if you could go back, why wouldn't you go back? Or why didn't you go back? He was like, we're dead.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah.
and the way he said it, I was just like,
That whole
Yeah. But-
setup at the end, like when they're talking about Adam's talks to Mossman, and he's
Yeah.
trying to deal with the idea that like I could go back, but then I don't get to come back here.
right. Yeah,
Like,
you
it's not-
can't go, you can't.
Yeah. Like he's like Mossman even said like, "Okay, do you want to stay here or do you want to go back and then come back as a forest?"
Right.
Like, or you become part of nature because that's what
Oh,
happens.
is that what it was? Because
He
I
basically
wasn't
says
sure
that-
if it was
Yeah,
you get one shot at heaven.
You'll be dirt, or
You get one shot at heaven, but if you leave heaven and then die again, and then you go to hell.
No, he doesn't come back to live in heaven as like one of the champions. He
yeah.
just gets to be part of the landscape.
Oh, okay.
Like he becomes part of the world.
But I also like what Moss.
It's dust to dust, essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I also like what Mossman said. It was like, yeah, but things change. I mean, I'm only 1,000,000 years old.
By the
laughed.
standards of the universe, I'm very young. I'm
Yeah.
only 1,000,000 years old.
I did like that though.
That
'cause
was
things.
probably
yeah.
another closest to Kevin Smith type of comedy for sure.
Yeah,
That shit
for
was
sure.
funny.
Yeah, that I really enjoyed that whole because I really didn't know which way he was going to go with it.
Yeah.
But the idea, because the way they'd been running, I thought maybe Tila takes up the sword or something like that. So like the whole him debating, do I stay in paradise or do I go back and then when I die, I'm just gone.
But the thing about that is, it didn't take him long at all. It was almost not even a thought, really. He didn't really have to ponder on
Right.
that much. He basically says, "I go," like he said, "I go where you go."
Yeah, yeah.
And it just showed that he is a true champion.
Mm.
It's not about him ever. It's
Yeah.
about everybody else. So him sacrificing heaven to go back and be human champion, whatever, and dying to go into nothing almost. And he was without almost a blink of an eye. Like I said, he took it.
And almost like it was more because it was his. He couldn't leave his friends to do what he thought was his job. Like, or
I
not
don't
even
even know,
his
it's
job,
just
but like it was
to do it alone.
He couldn't leave his friends to do something that he could help with.
Yeah.
And because when Tila got to heaven, they started talking. He's like, well, it's because we saved the world, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's like, is things not the way I thought I left them?
He thought he.
And so
yeah.
when he got that information, he was fully on board to be like, all right, let's fucking make this right.
Yeah.
And especially with you guys, hell yeah.
Yep. I think that's something else about that whole He-Man and Skeletor. Like, he did the greater good, or so he thought.
Yeah.
That is a perfect example of time continues to move on.
Yeah.
And just because he had saved the world now doesn't mean that it's saved forever.
Right.
And that's why the Champions is a perfect example of that. You don't have just one champion. That was the most amazing thing I thought about this, is it showed you that there are multiple champions.
Well, and even when he's going to go back, they're the ones like there will be other champions.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
but
someone
how
will take
long,
up the
though?
sword.
And from when you look at this, it seems like it's not like it could be 100 to 1,000 years. Who knows?
But
You know what I mean?
I think in this one, in this instance, because the power sword is broken, and that's really, I think that is what the conflict is with there. But once they forge the sword, like, someone else will take it up.
They have to find it.
Yeah.
And then they have to be chosen.
Exactly.
So, like, that could be 20,000 years. Who knows?
Right.
And that's something that I thought was really cool, is there's only, 5 champions?
Yeah, 5 or
5.
Yeah.
Sounds about
Something like
right.
that. And I was like, that's it? So, like, once again, you had Grayskull, which was the first champion.
Yep.
And wasn't what I expected either. Especially when they were talking about, why is it called Grayskull?
Yeah, right.
I was like,
I didn't expect that either.
I don't know. That was something else. That talking about fleshing things out, like making you think of something you wouldn't have thought of. I don't know. It was pretty profound to think about.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. So go back to the complainers and the whiners. Like, I can't understand how you're not moved by that sort of like writing, especially to take a children's show that you loved
Like
as a
you
child.
said, they don't care about stories.
Yeah, you can't. I don't know. That just fucking irritates me. But yeah, I just like the last 2 episodes. Just there's so much emotional
Tug and pull.
Yeah, like Robato's death.
That was going to be my choice.
Yeah,
my favorite importance.
The one person who doesn't have emotion, and yet you felt so sad for him.
And his speech to be like, "No, I'm feeling this right now," and I wasn't programmed in like the importance of like that transition.
Not to say it again, but I felt the same way when Vision sacrificed himself.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's that same kind of feel I had.
Okay. Side note: my only critique of this whole show so far has been Robato's voice, who's voiced by Justin Long.
Yep.
I felt somehow that Seth Green would have made a better choice. Like, I heard Seth Green doing a robot voice, and I thought, that sounds better.
They're all through filters.
That's a silly little
There's
critique.
very small moments where you're like, oh yeah, that's Justin Long.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have a lot of dialogue to begin with, and it was thrown through robot filters and shit.
I'm going to tell you who I think could have done it better.
You?
No.
I know, I almost said that too.
Alan Tudyk.
Oh, yeah.
But that man, I don't think he can do me wrong.
Honestly speaking, I would wait to see who's in the next 5 episodes, because there's plenty of characters.
Yeah.
So Alan Tudyk may have a spot. Who knows?
That would be awesome.
Because there's a
I
shit
love
ton of
that
characters
guy.
you didn't see in this show.
But he could, because he voiced iRobot. He voiced the main robot.
Okay.
Actually, he didn't just voice. He actually animated. He had the suit and everything.
Alan Tudyk could be Mecha Neck.
I just think
That's a
guy,
character.
I think that guy he deserves to be in this.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't know. That was I liked his death, his farewell thing too. It was like tell father.
I love that he referred to Tila as sister.
Yeah. I thought that was, I don't know, very appropriate, given that the robot was supposed to be
Is
a younger
Duncan.
version of Duncan.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, but either way, I was to tell Father that he made me better than he thought.
Yep.
Because even though as I am dying, I feel fear.
Yep.
And I'm like,
They're
wow.
like,
Yeah.
no, we'll fix you. He's like, no, don't you understand? I'm not an experiment. I'm a miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
and then
was
even
just-
how his final word just fucking boom.
I
Yep.
compared
I
that.
was like, that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I compared to that little blip of an emotional, I don't know, existential phenomenon to Robin Williams' Bicentennial Man.
Yep.
I compared it, same kind of feel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it was fantastic, man. There's so many freaking amazing moments in this show, like
Yeah.
that. And it's not just the sacrifices. Every single one that's died so far was making a sacrifice.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all meant something. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, even like, you know, when they go to Subternia and like you see even Tila, you know, trying to come to grips with the fact that of like what she's afraid of, you know, and then you find out that she's afraid of actually like succeeding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a little annoyed with that, but I got it. And
Yeah.
it's true. Like, it works. I just was like, really?
Because
That's-
that's been done a million times. Yeah.
Well, my whole thing was just like, typical.
Yeah. So, what's her name? Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Sarah Michelle Gellar,
Yep.
who played Tila.
You saw one episode, and then I worked with you the first episode, and you were like, I don't know if I'm used liking her voice. And then I was like, you get used to it throughout the series. Did that happen to you?
It did.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely
It
did.
didn't phase me at all. I don't know why.
I for the first episode, I literally was like, God, can she even act anymore? Like, I know she wasn't that great to begin with, but this voiceover must not be her gig.
Yeah.
And yeah, pretty much towards the second episode, like immediately, I was
Yep.
like, oh yeah.
Oh, there she is.
So I wonder if it's because the first episode, the even the animation's more towards the 80s. Like,
yeah.
like obviously the character designs are, but
Well,
it even has
I
like
think
less.
You're talking about like the storyboarding of that
Ye-
first episode kind of clicks in with something that you would see in the.
So maybe
80s.
she was talking differently on purpose or something like that.
So here's
Or I mean, I feel like they all were.
Well, the other interesting thing is that Sarah Michelle Gellar was only in the studio for like the first episode. Then COVID hit.
Oh,
She
yeah,
had to
and
do all her
then-
shit from her own studio.
So
in
you
her
saw
home.
that part in the
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe
and then
she
her
was-
It could've been
husband
part of it too, yeah.
built
She's more
a
comfortable.
studio for
Yeah,
her.
they built a studio in their home.
Yeah.
And like she did
I wish
all her
somebody would
shit.
come and build a studio in my home.
So
Get yourself a
yeah,
husband.
I see what you're getting at. So
I may
she
have to.
took it more serious
Yeah.
and got more of a comfortable zone.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
you know she didn't have to worry about other people. Like it's her.
She'd
area,
have to do
so that
unlimited takes.
Might be some amount of comfort was there that like gave her some.
Yeah.
Could be it. Could be it. I don't know. It was like my first pet peeve was like, God, I don't think she's gonna do very well in this. But
So
changed my mind quickly.
when the first episode ended, I worried that she was going to be this super whiny character.
Yep. So did
Oh,
I.
fucking quite
So
the
worried, and
opposite.
and it turned out great, and I was like, okay,
Kind of the
everything's fine,
opposite.
yeah.
Every time somebody else kind of whined, she just walked away.
yeah,
Mhm.
Like even her little friend that she made was complaining all the time about stuff,
Mhm.
and she just kind of continued doing what was almost like she was half-assed listening,
yeah.
just enough to go, yeah, but really she was elsewhere.
were you either of you waiting for it to be revealed that those two were
We're
lovers?
like, yeah,
No. Kevin Smith said it was going to be a girlfriend, but not a lover. The new character.
Like
he was
a
introducing.
girlfriend,
You
like-
didn't have to jump
Hey,
down
girl.
my fucking throat about it. I was just asking a question
I'm sorry if I came off aggressive.
because like I
And
barely
you were
got the question. Like, no.
Didn't
Sorry.
even finish the sentence. and
I
he's like,
just,
no.
I just said.
Why don't you get on?
I didn't
why don't
mean.
you get on Google and fucking post some shit about it?
I don't. Oh, oh.
Yeah, I want
Now
you-
that's aggressive. I was just trying to give you a no with
No wonder he
confidence
knows what
because of
clickbait is.
my following information that I have on Kevin Smith.
I'm still upset about that whole documentary after this show's seen ruining the ending. For me.
That is a bad on you, Netflix. Fucking
yeah,
terrible,
that kind of pissed me off. a little bit.
terrible part to put a fucking trailer on is like
Yeah.
the most spoiler alert or whatever. Yeah.
Especially because I didn't know what it was fucking about. So
Here we go,
Yeah.
listeners. tell them that story. That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, so like I had watched the first episode, and then I was like just about to get into the second episode, and I had my kid with me and stuff, so I'm like doing things, and I just had it hovering over the Masters of the Universe Revelation behind the scenes, whatever it was. I don't
After
know.
or something. Yeah.
after
And
the wrap,
it just went a little preview, like it does when it's just hovering over something. And there was Kevin Smith waving his hands around. It's the great Mark Hamill playing Skeletor.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
how do you feel about, like in this last episode where, Skeletor kills He-Man and takes the power of sword and turns into a skeleton god? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You
you've
just
only
ruined this for me, you fucking asshole. I was so like, what's the point at that point?
That
like,
sucks because that
only in the second episode. I didn't even started the second episode.
Right.
I was getting ready to.
Because yeah, He-Man or Adams comes back from heaven. They fucking get through their shit. They're ready. He's about to fucking get the power.
he's using
And
the
he didn't
sword
even-
to return magic to Eternia because Eternia is dying.
And he
Yeah.
didn't even get the finish saying it.
No, because he
before-
pops out of Evelyn's fucking orb, and then Skeletor pops out of the orb and stabs him in the back before he can finish that fucking catchphrase.
And then he takes the sword.
That-
and then
I feel
Said the
so.
catchphrase.
I'm so mad at Netflix and Kevin Smith for having that in this trailer because that part.
It's big.
It would have been bigger for you if you wouldn't have had that
Yeah,
information.
I would have probably have had a oh shit moment.
Exactly.
But nope,
See,
I didn't get that. It was taken away from me.
Yeah, because you had the old shit moment, but you're like, oh shit, I know what's happening now.
See, I had
Before.
kind of the same thing because I told you about that meme I saw earlier on in the day where I was like, oh, He-Man defends Grayskull for 200 episodes. Skeletor never wins. Tila defends it for 5 days. Skeletor is God.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. But I didn't see the whole thing
Yeah,
about him
that's not
stabbing
as
Adam.
clear
but
as
like,
yeah.
but like, I knew that Skeletor at the end basically wins.
I was pretty upset about that. That's all I
That
gotta
is
say.
a shit.
I was quite bitter.
That's-
I was like, I literally was like, what the fuck is this?
And it's only been out for a fucking couple days by the time that fucking
Yeah.
cheesy ass interview fucking show. By the way,
Yeah, I
people
feel like they
don't
should've
waste your
waited.
time watching.
They should've
They
waited.
put it out way too soon, and especially for that to be the advertisement, the biggest twist in the fucking show. Fuck that.
Should have waited. They should have. I don't know. Either way,
But
talk about the ending of it. I love that ending.
it's a
Yep.
great cliffhanger. I can
Fuck
see
yeah.
why they want us to split it up in that regard.
all I can say about
That'll keep me waiting.
all I can say about it was, maybe that'll teach Adam.
Yeah.
That's my first thought. Was like, he should have known better. Can't-
My
I don't know. He was there for less than a minute
Yeah.
yeah.
before he died. Now he's turning into the forest. It's like
My
Oh,
only
I'm
other
sure they'll find
kinda
a way to
reminds me
bring
of-
him back.
it reminded
have
me.
to.
Yeah, they have to. It reminded me of Little Nicky when he leaves hell
Yeah.
and then he goes right back. He's like, "You're only gone for like a minute." It's like, "Oh, I got hit by this big flashy light. Oh, that's a train. Stay out of the way." That's what
I
I,
love
thought
that
for the
Yeah,
whole
for
Adam
sure.
thing was. Oh, now he's going right back to heaven.
My only other complaint, not even a complaint, it was just an observation. Mark Hamill as Skeletor. Did you hear the Joker far too many
thank
times?
you.
But
for-
it's hard not to because
Yeah.
he is.
They
the
are
Joker.
similar, but yes, it was it was so similar
Just
to
a
the
little
Joker.
too much.
I still
Like, I like
thought
him
he,
as
yeah, I still think he did good.
He got the
Yeah.
Skeletor laugh pretty good, but
Yeah.
once again similar to the Joker's laugh. So
yeah.
yes, though I couldn't help be like, you're just doing the Joker in this animation, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing it with a little more grogginess, a little bit more like,
Yeah.
and less. Ugh.
I don't know.
I don't
Just
know.
that joke in episode 3 in the beginning when they do the flashback on the boat with Merman. They throw him in the water, and then they're under the water. Man at Arms comes to save He-Man and Tila, but before they pop up out of the water, Skeletor's just like, I think we're gonna paint this boat a little granite. We're gonna paint it the color of granite.
Yeah.
Just the way he says it, and just
Yeah.
so like,
Just
I
randomly
have
doing-
just finally gotten what I wanted.
Yeah, once again though. I mean, that was how the shows happened back in the
That's the
'80s.
hubris
Yeah.
of an 80s villain.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and I will also
There
admit
it
that
is.
also goes
Thank you.
down to what Aaron was saying earlier about the villains and their ego.
Yeah.
You know, like he thought he had succeeded, like legitimately succeeded. He wasn't gonna finish, like he wasn't actually gonna see this through
Right.
to make sure it was done properly. Nope.
Yeah. Never looks for a body.
Nope.
Like,
He just assumed, oh, I threw him in water with mer people. That's
Oh
it.
my god.
well,
And
and the
the line
cuffs that he
before
had
the-
on, yeah.
the line before that is I look forward to our next tussle, but I won't hold my breath.
Right?
It was like an
Those-
underwater drowning joke.
Those small little shots in there
It's so
were great. They were so terrible.
terrible, but I fucking
I
loved
locked-
eye
yeah.
rolling and laughing
Yup.
at the same time.
Yep. I
For
thought
sure.
it
So
was
much
great.
fun.
I think there's at least a couple of them in each episode, especially the Tila's little friend. I don't remember her name.
Andra.
Android. Yeah.
She pulled a lot of those, and to me, those felt
Yeah,
like
she says
I felt like those were a
I
little
feel like she
forced.
was just meant to be the comedic relief.
Yeah, I kind of felt that way too, because Orca wasn't in it for like any of it. He was only
Right.
in a couple episodes, especially towards
And
the
even
end.
his character was, at this point, was actually more of a dramatic character.
Yeah, he's too sick and dying, and I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah,
Hmm.
you know.
yeah.
Did you
think
have
I-
a favorite character in this new
Favorite
series?
character.
Yeah. Did you
Hmm.
have one that you found that you enjoyed a lot more than expected or anything?
I mean, I gotta say, I loved Orko's little arc.
Yeah, I mean
I
that's
loved
like
that
the
whole
most
thing. Yeah.
the biggest arc you get out of these characters besides Tila. 'Cause you don't spend a lot of time with these characters, but
Yeah.
if you don't incorporate the show before the original. So yeah, my first response or my instinct was to say Oracle as well.
Yeah. I think his was probably the most revealed
Yeah.
for sure. Like you get the Duncan and Tila relationship kind of pretty quick, but they're father and daughter. Like you knew that right away.
Yeah, and I mean
So-
it's piggyback from the first episode, and
Yeah.
you know, so
Right.
and it's an obvious like they're
They're
going.
gonna figure it out.
She's gonna
yeah.
be reluctant. He's gonna be.
But Orko having that drastic change and the
Yeah.
sacrifice and all that stuff
And-
wasn't something you really
and-
saw coming.
No, and hearing Kevin Smith talk about it, he really, because people back in the day it was like Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
Kids fucking liked him, and adults hated Oracle because he was just in the way, causing
Yeah.
whatever, everything we said earlier. But this time around, he wanted to make that character mean something, and he accomplished it.
He definitely did. I have to say my favorite was Evelyn. Although I can't stand saying Evelyn.
I know, right?
It's really
And
it
like that
bothers
one
me.
joke,
Can I call you Len? No.
yes. Did you add the evil?
Okay. Oh, can I ask you a question? No, I added the evil afterwards.
Yes,
Yep.
thank you.
Or something like that. Yeah.
That's the eye rolling shit that makes me laugh. I
Right.
love it.
But I think her character,
Well, especially at the end. Yeah. Her character has a lot of like
I won't-
room to
end
move.
was, man.
I
was like,
wonder-
are you kidding me? You didn't even bat an eye about changing sides again.
See, now that I
Oh.
was thinking about that,
Yeah,
there's
set
still
up.
more episodes.
Yeah.
There's still time for her to switch on Skeletor
Mm-hmm.
or somehow get the sword. She'll be a part of getting the sword back from
I
Skeletor.
thought about
God.
that. I think that she may have been converted.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, because I believe
I
that
go-
conversation between her. Yeah.
And Orko.
between
Orko,
her and,
yeah.
well, no, not even that. I go back to
Oh,
when
and
she's
her
talking
in
to
the
her
woods?
and Tila on the boat, and she's like, she's telling, or no, but yeah, it's just her talking about basically don't follow, the brave ones or whatever, like, or I wasted all my time following Skeletor when I could have been a master of the universe.
Yes. Yes.
And in my mind, like master of the universe is always the good side. Like that's He-Man, Man-at-Arms. Those guys are the masters of the universe.
Yep.
It may just be that that's the way I read it, and I'm wrong. But like I think that is what was like the first tell that she may be like a convert or whatever you want to say.
Mm.
I don't know. She was just a character I think I liked the most. Especially because you see her kind of slowly
There's
progressing.
progression, yeah.
She's probably the only one you actually really do see a subtle but consistent.
Yeah, that's a
progression.
good point. I forgot
No,
about
nobody
her.
else. It was either like flip of a coin kind of thing. It was so
Yeah.
abrupt, or you don't see it. Like Beastman, don't see anything from him.
Yeah, Yeah, I did like how she was pretending to be that old lady in her appearance in the beginning
Which
or the
I
second.
called that right away.
Yeah, yeah.
Instantly,
I mean,
I'm like,
obviously,
For sure.
obviously, we can tell by the Lannister lady's voice, whatever her name is.
Lena Headey.
Yeah.
Or Headey.
But I just liked how even in the show, Tila was like, just show yourself. We know it's you. Like, you're not fooling anybody.
Yeah.
Like, the ruse is up. So I like that the
It's
characters
'cause
knew just along with us that,
It's because she was talking shit in disguise.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I don't know. Obviously we're excited for the rest of it.
yes. I think
I
we're in
swear
for a lot
to
more
God.
action, a lot more He-Man and twists and turns and more story and development.
And they're wanting to do, or is it?
And they're already done.
greenlit
It's all
for a
done.
second season.
Yeah.
We just gotta
2023 though.
Gotta wait a whole year.
Jesus. Yeah.
2?
Well, I mean, because this next one will probably be
I
out.
suppose. Fuck me.
It's
Next
either
January.
it's probably early next year.
Should look into that. See if they have any
They
information.
haven't released
Oh,
anything
sons
yet.
of bitches. Starting to be annoyed with
That's the only
Netflix so
benefit to
much.
these whiners. We'll get it sooner, but
Hopefully.
and then hopefully season 2 will be like 20 fucking episodes.
God, I know. I really wanted more. Like, why couldn't they do 21-minute long and it did 30 episodes?
Right.
I would have totally binge watched that for a week.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
But I'm not gonna hate on it because the way that they did this was excellent.
Yeah.
Also, something that bugs me a lot is Castle Grayskull is supposed to be a good place, and why does it look so evil?
Right? Because yeah,
And I understand it's a facade. It's
When
just
I
a
was-
mask to
I
hide
was-
the center of magic or whatever. But like, why is it gotta be so evil?
it looks
I
like
was
Skeletor's home.
It does.
it
It
was-
totally does. I thought that's where he lived for the longest time, and it was like Snake Mountain. And then I was like, "Isn't that G.I. Joe?" And I'm like,
I was confused as to why when the facade dropped, all of a sudden Castle Grayskull was a prism. Like, I was like, why is it made of glass?
"Yeah, I don't know."
Mm.
I did kind of like I said when you actually meet Grayskull, Champion Grayskull, like
King Grayskull.
yeah, there you go, and like he explains the name, kind of thing. I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's why. It kind of like he probably built this castle to look like something he wanted. He looks like the kind of guy that would want a skull.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? That was kind of my rational thinking. But I just like, why that this is an evil place. It looks so evil. It's an evil area.
Yeah.
And then you have Snake Mountain. I'm like, what the fuck is Snake Mountain? Like, oh, that's where Skeletor. Oh, well, I'm confused now because who's evil, who's good? Like, it all looks bad to me. So
Right.
you know that saying, "Stay out of dark alleyways." That all looks like a dark alleyway. All
Yeah.
of it. So,
I didn't know that was a saying. I thought that was just common sense. But yeah.
well, it turns into a saying when you tell people, "Hey, stay out of dark alleys."
Tim just handing out advice. Stay out of dark alleyways.
Advice people already knew.
Apparently not, because people still get mugged and murdered.
Jesus, the amount of scenes that are so predictable in movies. Like, yes, you're in a dark, wet alleyway. You're
Right.
going to something bad's going to happen.
Yup.
If it doesn't happen in a cheesy horror movie, I don't want it.
All right, so part one of
Masters of the Universe Revelations.
part 1.
Yep.
Let's what's your rating? Let's
Oof.
go with Aram. Yeah.
Go with, fuck it. I'm gonna give it a 5. I fucking loved it.
Oh, 2 5s.
I'm on board. Like this made me feel like a kid again.
Okay, right on. I see the
4.
hamster.
Yeah, I'm going 4.
4,
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
just a 4.
Just a 4.
Why not 4.5? Why not
Uh-huh.
5? What's hesitation there?
It was a
Just-
little rushed and
Okay.
it felt a little choppy with the animation. It wasn't as smooth as Castlevania, the fighting and stuff like that. And there's a piece of me that says, they're keeping it fucking to the origin series, but it's still, I don't know. And maybe I'm just mad at Netflix for chopping it up, but it happened too fast. I don't know. 4.
Okay.
You're right. I probably should have went 4.4.
4.4.
4.4 plus.
What
1
about that?
point.
What about that
Oh
point
my
1?
god, I hate myself.
Numbers and stuff.
But that was, I don't know.
I threw a decimal in there and he just got confused.
yeah. Oh, it's,
Yes.
What's this period for?
Anyways, 4 out of 5.
All right. I just wanted to know your justification. And honestly, I don't disagree. That was probably the one thing. I just kind of wanted a little bit more.
Sure.
This was way too quick, way too fast. I was just like, man, it's already over. I want more. But
Yeah.
and I will admit, for the same people who did Castlevania, you are right. Castlevania was so much smoother.
Yeah.
It just kind of looked a little bit better too. But
Mhm.
don't want to discredit because I did really like this animation.
Yeah, and there's a
Yeah.
chance. I mean, I really liked the setup. The first episode, the setup, the pictures that they showed while they were describing the backstory and the origin story, they were like still shots or drawings, and it really reminded me of the fucking toys.
Yeah.
So I thought that was fucking smooth.
Yeah.
And some of those vehicles in this series as well really nailed the fucking toys. I don't know. They I don't know. So maybe they did it cheesier for the toy aspect of it, and they did it on purpose. So well
Almost
done.
like a hyper exaggeration.
Yeah.
To kind of keep that essence of what the toys were. and
Yeah.
stuff.
So
Okay.
the kids are playing with the toys. It's hand to screen or something. I don't know. So they might have done it on purpose, but for me, it was just like not as smooth as Castle.
I honestly not really a bad thing to think about. Like it's
Right.
pretty decent
Mark or
perspective to like what Kevin Smith is like and him wanting to be, I don't know, he wants to be honest, I
Mhm.
guess, with the show.
Yeah, and he's made it clear they're making this show once again to sell toys. It's still their fucking main Mattel
whole
because
goal.
it's owned by Mattel. I think that's
Mattel, yeah.
Mattel. There it is.
Yeah.
Attell.
Dave Attell.
Dave Mattel.
Comedian lovers in
Mm-hmm.
the group here.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Attell is one of my favorite jokes. A friend is the kind of person who will help you move. A best friend will help you hide a body.
Right. I haven't seen that guy in forever.
He's underground, but still very
He
prominent.
just did something with Jeff Ross. A couple
Oh,
years
yeah,
ago,
Bumpin'
whatever.
Mics.
Bumpin' Mics, yeah.
Yeah, they were about to go on tour in season 2, but then COVID.
I did see him with Bert.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he tours with all the big names, but he's just not.
He was
like,
on his podcast though.
Bert Kreischer.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep, he was on his podcast. I think that was the last. I know it wasn't all that long ago, but it's probably the last time I ever saw him.
Yeah, he looks
Anyway.
like a hobo.
He does.
Awesome.
He
He's
just looks.
always looked like
He,
that.
he looks like a hobo who's just a little bit clean.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't look dirty. He
freshly
just-
showered.
Yeah, he does. He's got clean clothes and still smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have to give this a rating as a 4 too. Purely
alright.
because I'm not a big fan of He-Man like Aram is. If Aram gives it a 5, I believe he felt like they did justice.
Right, that's probably where the difference.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I
That's
was
right, you guys can suck it.
if I was
Oh.
a fan, it might go higher, but enjoyed it a lot. It was more captivating than I expected it to be. Hearing what Kevin Smith wanted to do and then actually seeing it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to like know or even being like, let's say my writing, like writing it, I envision it one way
Mm-hmm.
and I'm trying to get it out there, but then to be able to accomplish it as one thing. Apparently he fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
And I think this is
Yep.
probably one of his best works that I've seen in a long time.
I give that.
So
And to be fair, in the team he's working with, like the writers, the fucking producers, the voiceover guy,
Cast.
the cast. That's the only thing from that cheesy ass interview thing that I really like.
Took
Their
away
team
from-
effort, their teamwork was on point,
Right.
and they all really gave a fuck, except for the Lannister lady because she's full of shit.
Yeah,
But-
for sure.
But yeah, their team. He chose the right people to surround himself with, and
I
it
have
really
to-
paid off.
I have to look up where I've seen the guy that played Prince Adam.
Chris Woods.
I
I
don't know
think
what
it's
the fuck I know him from.
Supergirl.
yeah, he's in Supergirl.
I've never watched that show.
He's married to actual Supergirl, I believe.
Oh yeah.
They met on that show. Yeah.
Is he? He's not Superman, is he?
No,
Not
Okay.
that guy.
I don't know.
I had to look him up because I was like, who the hell is this guy? Never seen him in my life. I just saw that he was in Super.
He's a CW something. I don't even know a Supergirl.
I'm not gonna lie. My other one complaint is him yelling out "I have the power" wasn't as cool as the original cartoon version for some reason to me.
Yeah.
You mean He-Man when he was say I have the power?
Yeah, when he transforms and he yells,
Yeah,
"I
they
have
didn't.
the power."
They had a lot more reverb and effects on the original for sure to
Yeah.
give it that energy.
that boost. That
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whoa!
This
made
one
it
really
sound-
relied on the music behind it.
Yeah,
So yeah, that one I did have to be like,
it was
just had to let that
disappointing.
one go.
How do you
It
feel
felt
about
empty.
Skeletor saying it?
Well, that one
Trash.
had all the power.
Yeah, I mean,
I
It
actually-
it
helped that he got as big as Aladdin when he got evil or whatever. It really
Oh, yeah.
reminded me of Aladdin for some
Jafar's-
reason. Jafar, that's what
Yeah.
it was. Yeah.
That's actually very. I don't think I thought about that, but yeah, he
I did, yeah.
basically to end it, he's as big as Castle Grayskull.
he's looming over Castle Grayskull like it's a toy.
Like like Jafar did. That's
Mhm.
maybe that's where they got it from.
Probably.
How do you like his new outfit look? It's all like he basically looked like the demon that was in the Underworld realm.
Skeleglow.
Yeah, is that his actual name?
I'm pretty sure it was something close to that. It was something Glow,
Oh.
played by Tony Todd.
Was it Tony Todd?
yeah, it was Tony
I thought
Todd.
that was Tony Todd too. God, I recognize his voice, but
I did
no.
too. I had to look it up. I was like,
No.
I know that voice. So
I love Tony Todd, man. I love that guy.
I'm glad that Tony Todd was just involved. Actually.
Right?
Good for him.
I fucking love Tony.
I was a little
Do
confused.
you know who
'cause,
Tony
like,
Todd is?
No.
Candyman.
Candyman.
Oh, nice.
Tony Todd. But like, so if you look at He-Man's harness, it has the H.
Yeah.
So Skeletor's just has a big M. And I don't know what the M is supposed to mean unless it means master.
That's what I was thinking.
That's my jump on it, but I don't know. That was the only thing I
Because
was
the big
like,
H was
Maniacal.
for He-Man.
yeah.
So maybe it's Master Skeletor.
Yeah, maybe. I don't. But yeah, that was the only thing that stopped me. I was like, what's that M mean?
He does. One of the last line is, "I have the power. I'm the master of the universe." I believe so.
Yeah, so
I
maybe
would-
that's it, yeah.
It has to be master. I mean, what
yeah,
else?
it's probably that. That was like my one stopping point on his costume. Cause like, but otherwise it made sense because it was the harness, just the same as He-Man.
Yep.
So like I
He
couldn't
yeah,
hate on it.
I missed.
Basically looked just like Skeletor other than the harness, and he glowed.
Yeah.
And he's obviously a bazillion times bigger.
Right.
Yeah, all right.
Hopefully that's just aesthetics and not for real. If you walking around that fucking big, I'm gonna be like, what the fuck?
Well, if he has all the power, he can probably shape shift.
One would assume he is a
Because
magician.
he is a magician. Yeah, he has power. He-Man
True.
did not.
True. Yeah.
He just had the sword.
He had the brute force. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was basically Arnold Schwarzenegger and Dolph Lundgren.
Conan
Face.
the Barbarian.
All right. Well, that was our
Positive take.
Take- yeah, it was
our
very
romp
positive,
into Aram's
actually.
childhood is what that was.
I was gonna go home and cry. Childhood is over.
Nope. On that note,
This is Timothy Bennett here,
Zarin Banyan.
Jason Chandler.
and thanks for listening. Catch you later.
Thanks.